Well, in a heartbreaking episode, more characters are killed, and one truth changes everything. Hey guys, it's Kevin and for American Horror Story Roanoke, episode 8, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. I've really been loving this season, but especially this second half, I think they've just been doing a lot with it. There's a lot they've been able to do with it, and especially the way that last week's episode left off. I really didn't know what was going to happen here. I didn't know if the blood moon was going to occur, or what really was going to happen, and while this episode wasn't at all what I thought it was going to be, I still absolutely love this episode. I think this was kind of a hard episode to watch at points, definitely, but I really did love this episode overall. There were so many great scenes in this episode, but Adina Porter especially, if she does not win at least an Emmy, at least nominate for an Emmy by the end of the season, I don't know what's wrong because she's absolutely killing it this season. But let's just get into it because there definitely is a lot to talk about. We have more characters dead in this episode, and like I said in my review, there is one truth that kind of changes everything, but we start off right where last week's episode left off, with Agnes falling to the ground, dead outside, while Shelby and Dominic try to figure out what to do inside the house. Dominic's freaking out. The monsters outside stir up at the house, torches blazing, because again, Dominic, Audrey, and, Monet, they were kind of they were kind of suspecting that this wasn't true, that this was all just Shelby and Matt, and that they were crazy, and oh, this can't actually happen. But now they're realizing that this can actually happen, and basically, Shelby decides the best course of action would be to try to leave through the tunnel, and she pauses at Matt's dead body. Then they slowly begin walking through the tunnel, and Lily Rabe absolutely kills it in this episode because you can really see the regrets on her face. I mean, after what she did with Matt, the regret is definitely there. It's just something that's very hard to come back from. I mean, she truly did love Matt, and I am willing to bet that she really did. Now, was there a time where her and Matt were definitely on the rocks? Oh, yeah, they definitely were on the rocks, but she really did love him. He might not have loved her, but she definitely did. And noises then freaked them out. The ghosts of the Chens, former owners of the house, who also died gruesome deaths. If you remember, we saw in that in episode 3, we found out, they crawl upside down and sideways toward them on the tunnel walls. Tunnel escape plans aborted. They run back into the house, and we see Mama Polk begins sharpening her knife, teaching her son Jether, who is played by Finn Wittrock in probably his most unrecognizable role yet. They really did a great job with not making Finn Wittrock like Finn Wittrock. And every character they do with Finn Wittrock, I noticed, they try to separate different from the other. If you notice, every character he's done has had a different voice, has had a different look. I mean, they kind of all look the same, but Jether does not at all look like Finn Wittrock, and you can really tell he got into this character and how it could be hard for him to do. I will say that it wasn't at all what I expected, because I was expecting Finn Wittrock to have a much more substantial role, which I think he did in this episode, but they did say this was supposed to be his most fucked up character yet, and I'm sorry, this just wasn't really it. So this was not his most fucked up character yet. I'm sure there's more to come, but what we got in this episode just didn't really tell me that, but we'll have to see. But anyway, she tells him how to get the best parts off of Lee's body. Lee is then pleading with them to stop, and Mama Polk decides that this is the best time to tell Lee her family's history. Apparently, we find out that they've been eating people for decades, killing hobos who killed their livestock, as well as others who were unfortunate enough to stumble upon the Polk family lands, and I like the way we really got into the history of the Polks, because the Polk family, to me, when we saw it on the documentary, just felt very fake, and this is really who the Polk family really is. The police leave them alone, no one in town messes with them, and then story over. So it makes so much sense why the police did absolutely nothing in the document in My Roanoke Nightmare. Now it makes sense, because, one of my biggest questions, why the hell is the police doing absolutely nothing, is because the Polks have been around for forever. They can't really do anything about it. No one wants to mess with them. They know what they're capable of, and obviously, they know the Polk is a family name that is, lived in fear. They lived in fear. Everyone, is terrified of them, and you definitely don't want to mess with them. So, the story over, it's back to cutting pieces off of Lee for dinner. Lee's ear is placed in a jar. Jether tells her that at Christmas they each get a pickled ear as a special treat. Just really weird overall. Lee starts crying, thinking about all the Christmases she'll miss with her daughter, and I thought Adina Porter, like I said, absolutely killed it in this scene. It's a very quiet scene, like her trapped in, that chair with nowhere to go, and just basically realizing that she's gonna die. I mean, Lee's realizing that this is gonna be it for her, and Jether's confessing that and we get this great moment between her and Jether that I really did love. I thought this was a really well done scene, but basically, Jether confesses that he just wanted to be on the TV show, and that's the only reason that he did this. And Lee promises if he lets her go, he can be on season 2. And Jether tells her about the origin of the Pigman. Lee tells him that he can be a hero if he lets her go. And I love this story of the Pigman. I thought overall was really interesting. We found out that basically their distant ancestor of theirs, he was very much obsessed with the Butcher, kind of like Agnes was, and the Pigman has always been a way to recreate the Butcher and kind of help the Butcher out, which overall is just really interesting. We don't know a ton about it, but I just thought it was cool we got history about the Pigman. I thought the Pigman was going to be a little bit more significant, but the Pigman has not really played, I think, the role he played in the first half of the season, but I do like that we found out more about him. The Polks were clearly connecting him, and I like that we finally know in what capacity, just a really well seen overall, and Lee tells him he can be a hero if he lets her go. It seems that he's actually considering it, but then tells her to forget about leaving. No one ever leaves. He then offers Lee drugs to take the edge off the pain since his mom's about to take her shoulder. She wonders why they don't just kill her, and he explains it's just tradition. They cut someone piece by piece, plus fear and exhaustion makes the jerky taste better. She snorts a line, knowing nothing matters now, and just a really well done scene, because you can see the regret in her eyes of just, holy shit, I'm actually gonna die, and also the fact that she is, a drug addict and everything, she can't really take drugs, but at the same time, she knows she's gonna die, so it doesn't really matter to her. Just a really well done scene. I love the way that was done, and like I said, Dina Porter absolutely stole this entire show. She was incredible in this episode. So Dominic and Shelby are then back inside the basement, but the Chens are still following them. Dominic slams his hand in the door, grabs some ice in the kitchen. Shelby pretty much gives up, sitting huddled on the kitchen floor, while Dominic insists they can use some supernatural blood moon rules to get out of the house. And it seems that actually didn't happen. That all the witch stuff, things like that, it seems like that was made up. That was made up for the TV show. That was put in there, to be this horror aspect. And it seems that the whole Croatoan thing didn't actually happen. It also seems to me that there wasn't really a Dr. Elias Cunningham. Think about it. There's not been one point in any of these 3 episodes where they've mentioned Elias. There haven't been a single point. So I'm thinking definitely that Shelby and Matt made up Elias to, one, create more tension in the story, make the story more interesting, explain things better, things like that. I really don't think that Elias actually was here. I don't think that he's real. We haven't gotten anything of him, so I don't really know if Elias was actually there. And I think the Croatoan stuff as well was kind of a lie, but I mean, the fact they haven't used it, definitely, there's a reason why. But he promises her they'll escape so he can get his spin-off, and as Shelby stands up, the Pigman attacks. She stabs him in the head with a knife, then they fight off the Chens and the nurses, and creatures are all over the place. The massive chandelier falls from the ceiling, lands on Shelby's foot, while the nurses, the Chens, and Pigman force them upstairs. They make it into the master's bathroom, but they're trapped once again. Outside, the Butcher's people draw closer with their torches, and I love that the threat of the Butcher's here. The Blood Moon's not here yet, but the threat is definitely looming over them. I mean, you know that at any point, the Butcher's gonna come and try to take their house and everything, so Shelby's laughing and crying when they're back where they started, because she just can't believe that this is happening again. She can't, and what she means by back where we started is that this is where they left off. This is where the whole documentary thing happened, and Dominic begs her to stay with him mentally, and I will say that something you definitely do see in this scene that I really did like in the end, is that Dominic really did care for Shelby. I really did like that. I thought Dominic was going to be a dick, but no, as we know, he's been playing it up for TV. He's been personified as a dick, and that's what he's trying to do. But I like that in the end, he was very human. He told Shelby that, he begs her to stay with him, saying that there's no place left for her since she killed Matt. And she says that he's a really good actor, realizing, she thinks that he's really playing it up, and she ends up killing herself, actually. Shelby actually kills herself, and I was shocked, honestly. I was for sure certain that Shelby was going to be the sole survivor of, this season, because, one, Shelby always seemed like the main character to me. It seemed like we were introduced to her that way. She was the first character we met. It just seemed like that made sense. But 2, it's also because of the fact that I just thought that because of everything they did with her last week, it seemed like it would just make sense. Her having to clear her name, all that kind of stuff. But no, she actually killed herself. And I honestly think it is the right direction for me. And after what Shelby did, she doesn't really see a point in living anymore. She knows she's going to die anyway, so she just went on her own terms. Really sad to watch, definitely. But for what Lily Rabe did with this character, I was very impressed. It's sad to see her go, but I definitely really like what I saw of her. I thought overall she did a really good job. Definitely going going to miss her presence on the show. But probably not the most shocking death. The most shocking death by far was Matt's, but this definitely was very close to that. I wasn't expecting this at all, and it really just show how unexpected of a direction we go in. So Lee then asks Jether for the picture of Flora that's in her pants pocket. He shows it to her, and she talks to it, then asks again to talk to Flora. So Jether gently covers up her wounds before filming her making a statement to Flora on camera. She tells Flora that she loves her, wants to tell her the truth. She confesses, and she finally makes a confession that we have been waiting all season for. I mean, what was the point of them making this in the first place? It's because people did not feel closure over Mason's death, as we know. They didn't know who actually killed him, and Lee confesses that she actually did kill Mason. It wasn't the butcher that did. She actually did do it. No one helped her. She takes full responsibility because she didn't want him to take Flora away permanently. So she actually did kill him. And the fact that we found this out, I thought was really well done because it doesn't portray Lee as a perfect person. It shows that Lee is kind of crazy, that Lee is just as fucked up in the head as we thought she was, and I like seeing that. But at the same time, you understand why she did it. You completely understand. I mean, Mason was being a dick about it. He really was. I mean, at least the portrayal that we saw. But I totally understand why Lee did that. You can tell why she didn't want to talk about it in episode 3. Remember that whole scene where she's like, turn off the cameras, things like that? Now it makes sense. She didn't want to admit what she really did. That was something that she kept hidden from even Sydney, and finally she has confessed it. And I think that really takes us full circle with Lee's character and makes me convinced that Lee's going to be the one to live. I mean, it just makes sense. And I'll talk about why when we get to the end, but basically, at this point, the taping's over. Jether says he's never killed anyone, but his mom says it's his turn next. So he actually hasn't killed because he hasn't really felt it's right. His family has, and Lee wants to know if he's the one who will kill her. He says he really doesn't want to because he likes her. He rubs against her. Lee plays along and even asking if he wants to touch her. He wants to film it so he can watch it later, promising not to show anybody. She has to touch his dick, and he loosens her restraints. Lee then acts quickly. She gets Jether into a stranglehold, then managing to stand. Although she's in a lot of pain, she grabs a knife, she stabs Jether, and she runs. And just a really surprising scene. I wasn't expecting that to happen at all. I thought Lee for sure wasn't going to die, I didn't think. But I was surprised that Jether died so quickly, especially because Ryan Murphy teased Finn Wittrock so much. So I don't think we're done with him. I think definitely Finn Wittrock, he's going to come back as a new character like he did last season. But I don't really know what else they're going to do with him. I mean, there definitely was stuff in the promo. But I was definitely surprised to see that he died so quickly. But I definitely think there's going to be more with him. There's got to be. I mean, that can't be the big, controversial, fucked up role that Ryan Murphy was talking about. There's no way. I mean, he didn't even kill. There's nothing that Jether did wrong. So there has to be another character. There just has to be. Really what I've seen, though, really did love that. And knowing, what Lee has done, it does show that she is, in fact, capable of being a killer. And us seeing her kill Jether, now we know why. She doesn't want to kill, but if she has to, she will. And we then see the back of the house. Dominic talks to the camera, unaware that Sydney and the production team are all dead. He's trying to get Sydney to free them because he now knows this is a dangerous situation. This is no longer play. This is a serious situation. He wants out. He's complaining about all the career plans he had that aren't going to move forward now. And honestly, a really well done scene because Dominic was an actor that, yeah, he was not really taking this that seriously. He was there to be the villain. But now he's realizing that, shit, this isn't really going to happen, that I'm going to die in this house and I need to get out of here. So I just thought that was a really well done scene, and you can tell how betrayed he feels by Sydney, because again, he doesn't know that Sydney's not there, and the fact that Sydney hasn't done anything obviously is really starting to anger me. Definitely do see that here. So finally, we then catch up with Monet and Audrey, who still in this episode, we know 0 to nothing about Monet's character, and I wish we did, but I feel like she's going to be a throwaway character, which this happens to Angela Bassett every damn season, and it really pisses me off. I don't know why they do this with her every season, but every season, they give Angela Bassett, except for Coven, Marie Laveau is a really good character, they developed her really well, but except for Coven, every season, she comes in as this really compelling character, and they do absolutely nothing with her, and and I'm not counting her as Lee, because that was the actress. Monet is a character we know 0 to nothing about, so I'm hoping that we see more of her next week, but They're still alive. They're tied to chairs. Audrey and Monet try to tell the Polk boys it's all the real Shelby and Matt's fault and that they're just actors because they're convinced that they were the real people. And the two Polks watching over Monet and Audrey are busy making teeth necklaces to protect themselves from the butcher and her people. So we know what the teeth necklaces. I don't think we knew that before. I don't think we've actually known that these teeth necklaces were there to keep the butcher away. We knew that where Croatoan was, but no, now it seems like these teeth necklaces, that's why it was raining teeth. That's why there's the teeth thing on the promo art. Now that all makes sense. And they need more teeth and decide to take Monet's first. And the pliers break before her teeth can come out. So does Monet's chair. She's loose. She tries to untie Audrey, but here's Mama and runs away. Mama Polk tells her boys to chase Monet. Then it's Mama Polk's turn to try and extract Audrey's teeth. Audrey spits in her face. Not a wise idea, of course, when she's tied to a chair. Tells Mama Polk to burn in hell. Audrey keeps insulting Mama Polk's boys, telling her she bred with her farm animals. And that's why they're grotesque. But then finally opens her mouth so Mama Polk can remove her teeth, and the Polks end up chasing Monet through the trees because they have a flashlight. They know the woods. They come across her fairly quickly, and Monet ends up getting away. We don't know what happened to Monet after that. That was the only scene we saw of Monet. I'm sure she's still out there because they didn't show her dying. An American Horror Story never doesn't show someone dying on camera, especially this season. They're not going to. So Monet's definitely out there. I just don't really know where they're going to go with her. But I like that they were able to get away from the Polks. Now, I was surprised that Mama Polk died so easily, but this is a good way of getting away a smaller plot element and, getting rid of it before the next two episodes. I understand why they do that, and overall, just really well done. So back to the farm, Lee knocks Mama Polk out and unties Audrey. Mama Polk starts coughing and choking. Audrey kicks her and then pounds her head into mush. I mean, Lee is on the verge of, you can tell that Lee really can't walk. I mean, her bones like sticking out. It's really gross. And two Polks down, two to go. So Lee and Audrey make it back. There are still two on the run, as we know, with Monet and everything. So Lee and Audrey make it back to the house where they find Matt dead on the floor. And again, Adina Porter in the scene, not just her wailing, but just the look on her face, the horror, realizing that this is actually happening and that this isn't a TV show and that Matt is actually killed. The one thing that Lee made sure wouldn't happen, she's obviously freaking out about it. And just the scene in general was so well done. Adina Porter absolutely killed it. I love what she did there. But Audrey forced her to move away from his dead body. They must keep moving to have any hope of surviving. They make it into the living room where the chandelier is still in the middle of the floor, but there aren't any Chens, nurses, or even a pig man in sight. And upstairs, Audrey finds pills, offers them to Lee to take away some of her pain. Audrey keeps trying to comfort her, and then they wipe the blood from each other's faces. Audrey and Lee then go into the bathroom to get water. They find Shelby dead on the floor, having bled out. They don't even notice Dominic until he says something from the corner, and Dominic tells Lee that Shelby killed Matt with a crowbar after watching them have sex, and Lee doesn't believe a second of it. I mean, she thinks that this is just some story that he fabricated, and she knows again that he was here to fuck with them, because that's what he was there for, essentially. Sydney put him into the house to fuck with them and to create drama, and she does not trust him at all, and she screams him to get out of their sight. Lee knows Shelby loved Matt, and Audrey, having played Shelby for 6 months, believes Shelby would never have killed herself. She's just too good for that. And I thought it was kind of a funny line when Audrey's like, oh, she's too selfish for that. Just things like that. I think Sarah Paul is doing a good job with finding some very subtle humor, especially in some serious situations. I thought that was funny overall. But they force Dominic from the room, closing the bedroom door in his face, and immediately the pigman actually attacks. He kills Dominic while he's banging on the bedroom door to get back in. Not upset that Dominic was killed. I thought that he was going to be the next one to get killed. So Lee is fine with him being killed. She blames everything on him and thinks that this was all his fault. And Shelby isn't taking it quite so well, unfortunately. Audrey, she tells the camera that she had more performances in her to give to her fans. She loved her fans, and, she realized that they're not going to get out of this. So Lee and Audrey do make it through the night, luckily. Lee says they have to go back to the Polk farm, and, Audrey was convinced that they were not going to get out of that, but Lee actually wants to go back to the Polk farm. She wants a tape of them killing the Polks before someone else finds it, but really she wants it back because, she confessed to killing Mason, and she doesn't want that to get in the wrong hands. But Audrey reminds Lee the video also shows Mama Polk force-feeding them parts of Lee's body, and Audrey gives Lee more pills to take away the pain, then agrees to go with her back to the Polk farm, and they have to pass by Dominic to get to the stairs, but Lee doesn't want to go past Matt again in the basement, so they decide, because she just can't see that image again. I mean, it's just, her brother on the floor is not really something she wants to replay, so they decide to leave through the front door. They open it, the pigman's just standing there. Lee hits him in the head with a crowbar, he yells, he takes off his head, and it's actually the actor Gillian who actually played, Ambrose in the series, as we know, and that is the way the episode ends. Very interesting stuff overall. Really looking forward to seeing, where that's all going to go, but that is the way the episode ends. Very unexpected ending, but let's just get into this overall and talk about where I think the last two episodes are going to go. So, never in a million years would I have expected these three to be our final three. Lee, especially, Lee I thought was going to be there just because it seemed like, Lee, Matt, and Shelby were going to be the three left, but no, I mean, Shelby's dead. I can't believe that Shelby's dead. It's not even the penultimate episode. I get why she had to die. After what you do, you can't really come back from that. Especially the way it messed with her mind so much. We always knew that Shelby had some sort of mental problem, and, even though Dominic said, "Oh, I can give you this great life. You can be yoga. You can have that yoga studio that you want. I can go on to make all these great films." It's just not realistic. It's not what was going to happen for them. What was going to happen is that Shelby was going to either kill herself or turn herself in. One of those two things were going to happen. You definitely do see that. So I'm not upset that she died. Dominic dying, I understand why he had to die. Now, Lee and Audrey are still alive. Like I said, I want Lee to be the one to get out of this. The whole story has been revolved around her from the beginning. If you remember, the reason that Sydney did this in the first place is because people did not feel satisfied with Mason's death, and they want to make Lee seem like she's a killer. Now that we know she is, this really adds more to the story, because it seemed like this whole time they were trying to make it seem like Lee's a killer. She actually is a killer, though. She actually has killed Mason, and knowing that, I think, really does add a lot to the story. It definitely makes sense why certain things have happened, but that's going to be very interesting. I don't want Audrey to be the one to survive, and I'll tell you why right now. They always end up leaving Sarah Paulson as the sole survivor. The only season they didn't do that was Hotel, as we know she died as Sally last year. But she wasn't the main character, and Audrey isn't really the main character either, so I don't want to see Audrey live. I want to see Audrey be the one to get killed off. Not that I wouldn't like Audrey to live. I think she's a really good character, but Lee's the one we're more connected to. Lee has always been, in my opinion, the best character on the show, and I think this season, this season, she's been the best character, that is. Her or Agnes. Agnes was a really great character, too, but Lee, we've just had so much more time with, and Adina Port's absolutely killing it as this character. I really do want to see her live. I'm worried because she's been billed as a recurring character the entire season. I don't know why. She's a main character, more than Angela Bassett, definitely, but for some reason she's a main character. Now, let's talk about Gillian. Why is Gillian suddenly back? I mean, we know that obviously Sydney's dead, most of the production crew is dead, so how the hell did he find them? I have no idea. What does he come back for? We don't know, but I like that we're finally going to meet Wes Bentley, because he has been a main character. He was in the show for maybe 2 episodes, and then he killed him. He, died. Ambrose died along with the Butcher, so Gillian's definitely, there's going to be more about his character. I'm interested in getting more into his character overall. Definitely looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. But it looks like next week Shelby and Lee are going to try to get him to, not Shelby, I keep saying Shelby, but Audrey and Lee are going to try to get him to, note the authorities or try to get them out of this house and stop the blood moon from happening. But definitely, I don't know really what's going to happen next week with that. We'll have to see. And as far as Monet is still on the run. I really do want to get more into her character. I don't want Monet to be a throwaway character. I think Angela Bassett's a lot better than this. I say it every single season, but every single season it seems like they completely squander Angela Bassett's character. I don't know why they just choose not to focus on her. She's a very good actress, and I don't know why they always do this to her, but this season, no different. It seems like her character is not really going to be focused on that much, which kind of sucks, because yeah, there is good stuff with Monet, with her becoming an alcoholic and everything, but we just haven't really been connected to her and had that many moments where there's a character that we've had with a Dominic or even an Audrey. These characters we actually know pretty well, and I know almost 0 to nothing about Monet, and I really do want to know more about her, so it kind of sucks that we don't really know a ton about her, but maybe we'll find out more in the next episode. Finn Wittrock is not done. I know he's going to come back in some way. Brian Murphy would not tease us like that just by saying, oh, he's the most fucked up character, and then he's not really a fucked up character. I just don't really see that happening. I mean, there to be too much of an outcry for that to happen. So I definitely think that he is going to come back. I don't know in what capacity, but he's definitely going to come back. Tessa Farmiga looks like she's coming on next week, and it looks like in general, there's going to be a police investigation of sorts going on, so we have 2 episodes left. I know next week it's going to continue to be in this style. Episode 10 is a completely different entity, though. I don't know what it is, but my other big question is, did they fake all of the witch stuff? Because, again, we haven't seen the real Elias. We haven't heard of Elias since episode 5, so I don't even know if Elias was real at this point. And all the witch stuff, I mean, we know there was a skate hatch, we know that, but the Croatoan, does any of that, was that real? Or was that just there to boost the ratings from our Roanoke Nightmare? I mean, we don't really know, but we'll have to see. But that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this episode overall. Who do you think is going to live? Why is Gillian back? All that. Just let me know everything you liked about this episode. I really am loving this season, as as I have been all season. But that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Legends tomorrow. I know I am 2 episodes behind. I promise you guys I will get back on track with that, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.